Okay, everybody, we're out in a messy backyard to do something about it. You can probably hear the neighbor's dog barking. It's not one of mine for once. Today, we have a few important tasks. One is that pile of largish branches, small logs, whatever you want to call them, that's in the overgrown grass there, needs to be addressed. Of course, to address that, I want to address the overgrown grass, at least enough to give myself room to work. Buzzsaw is going to be put to work doing the actual cutting. I already have the tractor running, warming up so that we can pull it out. But before we do much, we need to get at least one of these John Deere's moved. The other two are both down a wheel right now, so we can't do anything easily about those. But yeah, so we're gonna get the one with the rototiller moved out of the way here. We're gonna mow as much grass as we can, and then obviously start cutting once we get the tractor pulled around and the belt put on. All right, yeah, I guess that's a good place to leave you and turn this into a time lapse. Well, you guys got to see this thing in action. I've gone ahead and messed with it a little bit afterwards. I cleaned as much of the rest as I could off the end of the bar, and I was able to successfully remove this. I just had to, well, pound a hex key into each of them to, yeah, to correct the hole. And I also took the sander to this metal here. It looks like crap, but it feels nice and smooth. Still filthy, of course, but what do you do? That was just a test section to see how the spring project is going to go. All in all, I think the project will go fine, other than that nut right there, which is, I mean, that's a hole with a chunk missing out of the nut right there. I'm going to have to replace that nut for sure. It is just what it is. I'm also going to get somebody to fill that in with weld. Same with the crack down there. Yeah, it was, whoever built this was really lazy and didn't properly weld this. It's barely got a booger holding it on, booger weld on that side. So I'll clean the whole thing up, take it to a professional. I mean, they got a plate over this. Yeah, it's disgusting. I might just have him make me an all new one of the same dimensions to fit around the blade, because this thing is, wow. Or the other possibility is I might finally learn how to use my welder and weld it myself. But that's a really big gap for an amateur to want to close up as their first welding experience, and that one's even bigger down there. So we got the old wood pile here. Most of it was smaller than I remembered it being, which is fine. It was more about not having to be constantly bent over running a chainsaw than it was anything else, although, you know, I got a good test out of this thing too. The blade is really good. It has 1 or 2 teeth somewhere that are, oh, there's one right there, you can see it. So you see how that tooth is shaped, or that one. This one's got a chunk out of the top. I'm guessing that's one of them. Anyway, one of them that catches just a little bit, but all in all, it's a pretty good saw. And I got a nice little pile of small size firewood here for this winter in the workshop, so that I can actually be comfortable. Next project, depending on weather, it'll probably be next weekend, because the weather for the rest of this weekend is supposed to be pretty This is the following day, by the way, from when I cut the wood, but it's going to be raining. I don't know if you can see how dark those clouds are, but it's going to be raining very soon, and I got to get my tools and stuff put away. I hate leaving the belt out here in the rain, but it's a lot rougher than I thought it was. I mean, while we were working, we lost a chunk right here. It was flapping and it eventually just came off. Yeah, and there's pieces missing down there as well. It's an old belt. I have another one. It's a smaller size, so I'd have to have the tractor closer. That might actually be better, because this hitch, you need to have it up on something so that the table doesn't fall towards the blade, like it did when I did my short. The vibration caused the table to fall forward, so I put this under there after that to lift it up some. Well, with it lifted up, the whole darn thing can tip the other way because it's out of balance. So if I had to have the tractor closer, I could actually mount this thing, attach it to the tractor somehow. Show you what I'm thinking. So we weave our way over to the old farmall here. Got all these holes along the side, and these bolts here, which are meant to put on a bracket for hanging weights off of on the front. I could easily have fabricated some kind of metal bracket that comes down off of this anywhere along here. I got a lot of mounting options. Don't want to use the ones where the motor mounts are at, but if I absolutely had to, I could. Don't see why I would need to though when there's so many other options. But yeah, get myself something mounted up and it comes down and has something for that hitch to attach to so that it stays where it's supposed to. And that would, you know, bring it closer to the tractor, which brings it closer to the belt pulley. And in here I have the other belt, which, like I say, is shorter, but it's in better condition. Not much better, but better. And all told, I only paid 50 bucks for the 2 belts and these other 2 big pulleys out here, which we talked about. This one, I thought it was off of a John Deere, but looking at it closer, it's another farmall one. Just like this, only better shape because it doesn't have this damage here, which, I mean, this is pushing the pins out. This thing's, it's gotten, after it got cracked, it's getting water in here and it's expanding and it's pushing the, I mean, it's nasty. It worked though, didn't it? Oh, my fuel ball's dripping. Well, that's not good. I'll have to take care of that. It wasn't dripping yesterday. Weird. So this other one's off of a Minneapolis, but the bolt hole pattern's the same. It's the same bolt hole pattern. Here, I'll just flip this one up. See? They are the same bolt hole pattern. The only difference is these ones are egged out on this one, it looks like. I don't know whether that's intentional for some stupid reason, because they're all egged out in the same direction. I bet it's not. I bet the stupid thing was loose and somebody kept running it. But yeah, with that being the same bolt hole pattern and being metal rather than having this fiber, I don't know if this is wood or, I mean, yeah, it's got to be wood. You don't, wood out in the weather, you know, ain't the greatest, especially when it's been manipulated into a shape like that. So I would probably go with the metal one. Yeah. Although with it being made out of wood, you can always remake your own and then just reassemble it. You only need the outer ring and the part that attaches to the tractor. All right, but that's getting distracted. So like I was saying, I gotta clean up, get my tools inside, especially since they're the nice Milwaukees. I don't want to leave those out here. But the next project, for when the weather is decent, full disassembly. I started on this already. You can see the front wheel's off. The front wheel's actually sitting right there to replace that front wheel. I just haven't had time to get it on yet, because yeah, I mean, that one, I tried getting it back on the bead. It doesn't want to. So we'll get this all disassembled and taken care of and put away, and that'll be one less tractor in the yard. Make the city and Lady Metal happy. And I need to remember to pick up my recycling, so let's just do that right now. But yeah, I mean, the motor can go in on the shelf. Everything that's attached to the motor can stay attached to the motor and go in on the shelf. The whole upper assembly here can come off. The seat will come off. The fenders will come off. And the goal is to get it down to the frame, to just the frame, because we're going to turn it into a wagon to go behind one of the others. So, and the hood's pretty much junk. But yeah, I mean, all that can come apart for the mule drive. It's pretty rough shape anyway, but I might be able to clean it up and put it in better shape. So yeah, transaxle, I have no idea what shape that's in, other than that we know that it's messed up. So I'm going to take it apart and just strip all the gears out of it. I remove the gears entirely, just make it an empty tube to hold the wheels, so we can have it as a trailer. And that kind of looks like that tire is loaded. I did not know that, if that is the case. I don't know if you guys can see the liquid there on the bottom of the tire, but it's like an orange color. I hate loaded tires. I think it's the dumbest thing someone can do to their equipment. You're basically putting salt water. I mean, I know it's not, but it has the same effect. all that salt like causes corrosion, you know. I mean, that's, yeah. All right, anyway, long and rambling outro to this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, even though it was mostly just a giant time lapse. Hope you guys enjoyed seeing this thing running. There will be much more of it in the spring when I take it apart and rebuild it. I'm gonna get some treated plywood for the top and completely rebuild the top. It's gonna be expensive, but it's what needs done. I will save and reuse as much of the hardware as I can. What I can't save and reuse, I will just replace. It's not like it's anything special. It's just a standard carriage bolt with a I forget what these are called. The nuts with the big shoulders. Are they just called shoulder nuts? I can't remember. But yeah, they got really big, wide, like a washer on it. You could also just use a washer. So yeah. Anyway, both grease zerks worked. Fresh grease coming out. This one, I think it was all, at least part of it was on the video. I completely stripped out all the grease from this one and redid it. So that's all fresh grease. That's why it's green. My grease is green that I'm using. On this side, it's a mixture of black and green coming out, but the green did come out, so it is still functional. I tried removing the pulley, so this is actually loose right now. This is just like these, just a grub screw, giant one though. It is loosened, but that is just so on there. The idea is to get it off and move it out to the end, move that pillow block in, which I'll have to, you know, clean that up, but move the pillow block in and then put the pulley on the end, which is where it really should be. But if I'm gonna do what I was talking about with pulling it up next to the tractor, then I no longer want to do that, even though it makes it easier to get the belt on enough. So I don't know, I'm still rambling, I know, but I'm pretty happy with this thing all told. It is going to get painted in farmall colors as well. So it's going to get a gray primer, farmall red paint, and then the drawbar, which it already kind of was, is going to go into the farmall white, silver, whatever it is. So cream, I can't remember what color the other color is. I'm terrible. The wheels will also get painted the same color as the tongue, or maybe the tongue will stay red and it'll just be the wheels that get the accent color. I don't know yet. I do want to, I don't know, here you go, you can see down in there, and we'll get a better view. We'll go down in this way. Those are drums on there for drum brakes. It's too bad I can't remove them because they're integral to the wheel, but that would be nice. Another option to keep this thing from tipping all over on me would be to put blocks under all four corners. Yeah, it does look like the way the guy that made it set it up is that you're actually supposed to pull the wheels off while you're using it. Just have it right down on the ground. That's another option. I didn't even realize that. All right, I'll quit rambling now for the last time. Thank you all for watching. Ooh, as I almost fall over. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and as always, I will see you on the next one.